And she said also we wouldn't have religious education anymore either. We would have physical education instead. Well, we didn't mind that because usually we had very strict rules, to learn the Bible and learn our prayers and everything. Well, physical education was a lot more fun than studying the Bible and learning our prayers. Well, she also said that on Sunday we couldn't go to church anymore because it was National Youth Day, and that would be compulsory. We had to attend at 8 o'clock in the morning, and she warned us that if our parents would not send us, the first time they would get a very stiff letter of warning. The second time they would have to pay a heavy fine, and the third time they would be jailed. Well, we still respected our parents. So we dutifully attended every Sunday morning. And the first 2 hours we had political education. Today I would call it political indoctrination. We were being told not to listen to our parents. They were old-fashioned old fogies. They didn't understand the young people, and we should not listen to our parents anymore. Just listen to Hitler. He was the future for us, and he would, the young people, we only listened to Hitler, not to our parents. Well, we argued with our parents constantly because we were told that we had rights and we had freedom, that our parents could not tell us anymore when to come home. We could do what we want to. Oh gosh, that appealed to a 12-year-old very, very much. I argued with my parents all the time. Literally, the school drove a wedge between us and our parents. But my family got very upset, especially my mother. So when the next school term rolled around, my mother announced that she was taking me out of this horrible public school, and she would enroll me in a private school with an excellent curriculum and no fun. Because the rest of the Sunday, after the 2 hours of political education, we had sports. We got all the sports equipment free. We got tennis rackets, we got golf clubs, we got skis, and the boys of age 16, they got motorcycles. And they could form a motorcycle squad. Not only that, they were taken out to the airfield to fly gliders. So you can imagine at the end of the day when we came home, we said, what a wonderful time we are having. Much more fun than going to church. So that's why my mother took me out of public school and enrolled me in that private school, a huge building with an 8-foot wall around and a locked iron gate. And as I bid my mother goodbye, I almost hated her because I thought she was putting me in prison. But she was a very wise woman. She said, today you don't understand what I'm doing for you, but sometime when you grow older, you will realize what I'm doing for you. Had my mother not intervened, today I would be a radical Marxist, because that was being taught in public school. So that was our education system. Of course, I did not like my new school at first because it was very, very rigid. We had an excellent curriculum. But then on holidays, I could go back home, and I would go back and visit my classmates. I wanted to find out what really was going on there. Well, I did not like what I saw. 16-year-old girls were pregnant and having babies for Hitler. It was a free lifestyle. Everything goes. Hitler wanted a lot of babies, encouraged young girls to be single moms and having babies, blue eyes and blonde hair, the master race. So, as my education progressed, and of course, the school I went to, it was all-year school. It was very rigid, and as my education progressed, and finally when I entered college, you could not pick your major. The government told you what you had to study. I wanted to be a journalist and writer. They said, no, we don't need journalists. We don't need writers either. You go in education. Well, I happen to like children, so I took the education block. And at the end of the last year in college, I was sent to a small village in Austria to do my practice teaching. I saw real euthanasia. When I arrived there, I was told in that village they had about 15 people who were mentally handicapped. They couldn't read or write, they couldn't speak well. And one man I know very well, Vincent, he was the janitor in our school. All those people did good manual work. And Vincent kept our school clean. And one morning I looked out of my classroom window, and there was a man out there from the health department. And all these people, including Vincent, were put into the van. And I thought, oh, they take him for an outing, like a picnic or something. So I asked my principal and said, now where are they going to take him for the outing? Oh, he said, that's not an outing. The health department came along to the families of those people and asked them if they would sign the paper to institutionalize them, to teach them how to read and write and learn a trade, like basket weaving. Gladly the parents signed the paper to let them go, and off they went. They all left in excellent health. 6 months later, the news came to the parents that their son or daughter died a natural but merciful death. That was euthanasia. Just think that in our health care bill, there's also a panel for euthanasia. All of us who are on Medicare, we will have a doctor assigned to us to watch our quality of life. And when we get too expensive for Medicare, when the money is running out, we will go the same route as those people in Austria. And I remember it was back in the 80s. I have been a lobbyist in South Dakota for 37 years. And I come into a lot of legislation and bills what is very much pointed to socialism. And it was in the 1980s, when Hillary Clinton was launching her health care bill. And I found a bill which said, it was a health care bill, that any health care provider can disconnect a life-saving equipment. I thought that must be an error. It couldn't be that they would write a bill like that any health care provider could disconnect life-saving equipment. It couldn't be. Well, when the bill came up in committee, the proponents of the legislation always come first. It was the hospital Association lobbyist, and he testified that we need this bill, this legislation, for cost containment, meaning money, saving money. Well, I couldn't believe it. So when my turn came to testify against the bill, I said to the committee, ladies and gentlemen, did you hear the hospital lobbyist making a slip of his tongue and saying cost containment? It costs too much money. I said that is a federal law. It's called the DRGs, Diagnostic Related Groups. And the federal law says that if you are on Medicare and you are in the hospital and you are perhaps terminal, and the federal law will only pay a certain amount of days for your care, and when the days are running out and you are in the hospital and you need IV, what are they going to do? Is pull the plug. Well, after that, the bill went down in flames. That is our health care, and in Obamacare, the same thing is in there. There is a plank in there, and everything is connected. Well, God forbid, should I ever become handicapped? I hope not. But I will never apply for a handicapped license plate because I don't want to be on the list.
That's right. You're right.
It's very scary. Very scary. We also had, under Hitler, a federal police force, a secret police force in civilian clothes, commonly known as the Gestapo. And they were everywhere. In civilian clothes, you didn't know who they were. They were everywhere, and people disappeared all the time. We didn't know what happened to the people. We didn't know. Because everything was such a tightly watched lifestyle, and everything was being so controlled. It went like this. Naturally, all our food was being rationed. And if somebody in your home passed away, like grandma, and of course you had the ration card, you got 1 pound of sugar a month. And if you went quickly to the grocery store and bought that coveted pound of sugar, the next day the Gestapo would knock on your door and say, we know that you bought that pound of sugar. You didn't turn in the sugar coupon by law, but we are not going to arrest you. But you have to report on your neighbor, your friend, your boss, everybody you know, your family. You report to our office, the office of the Gestapo, once a week. And if you don't do that, then we arrest you. That way, they created a network of informants. Everybody was informing on everybody else. You couldn't trust anybody. We couldn't trust the mailman. We couldn't trust the electrician. We couldn't trust the plumber. We didn't know if they were informants. It was terrible. We were so controlled. And I remember, I think it was in February,